Welcome back to part 2 of Keeping the End in Mind.
This whole course is about how we can help our teenagers on their journey to maturity.
Central to the course is how we build strong, loving relationships with them. To do this, the type of home environment we create is crucial.
We're now going to look at 4 things to aim at in order to create the type of environment where our teenagers can flourish. The first aim is to make our home a place of safety and acceptance for them.
My family's been important to me because they've been so supportive through my high school, even though sometimes I really didn't want to talk to them or tell them things. They always were there for me and told me they loved me, and it was good. I needed that.
You can get the feeling at school that you're not very loved at particular times, and it's really nice to come back to parents who will listen to you and talk to you and show that they care about you and just refresh your day from a hard day at school.
It's important to remember that the adolescent years can be a real roller coaster ride for them.
There are all sorts of things that can affect them deeply. There are bound to be disappointments. Some are more obvious than others. They may not be picked for a sports team or for a part in a school play that they really wanted. Or perhaps they fail a test or an exam. Some, however, are less obvious. Maybe rejection from friends whom they thought they could trust, but who suddenly don't want to know them.
We may not be able to understand what they're going through. It's not always easy to see that they need us when our teenager is awkward, moody, uncommunicative, or just stroppy. It may seem all they want to do is to be with their friends or spending hours online, physically present but emotionally absent.
But our teenagers do still need us. They need to know that they're loved and accepted no matter what's going on, rather than constantly wondering if they're going to be in or out of favour.
Something that I have heard from every teenager that I have met is that their parents' approval of them is hugely important. I think sometimes teenagers don't talk a lot, and they mightn't talk a lot about their parents or to their parents, but actually that hides the fact that how their parent views them, feeling accepted and approved of and cared for and valued, that those key needs in a young person, when those needs are met by their parents, it really builds their self-esteem and confidence. And so parents sometimes underestimate how important their influence is on their children. And I think as a parent, you are going to influence your child hugely. So just make sure that your influence is a positive one.
We're not saying our home has to be this perfect haven. There may be all sorts of things that have gone wrong.
But whatever situation we find ourselves in, we can make our home a safe place to be, a sanctuary, if you like, from all the pressures that they're facing. More than anything, we do that through being there for them, so that we're available to listen when they're ready to open up.
With all the pressures that our teenagers are facing today, I think the most important thing we can do is give them a loving, connected environment in their home. Be there for them, but put boundaries in. Don't allow them to have everything they want to have. Talk through with them the pressures that they're facing. Listen to them, hear their anxieties, their concerns, but also celebrate it. There are lots of positive things about the world in which our children and teenagers are growing up, many opportunities. But fundamentally, be there for them as a parent, talk about it, but put boundaries in to help them manage the pressures and to manage the expectations on them is vitally important.
You may have a teenager who doesn't communicate at all, and you're thinking that listening isn't going to do it as there's not much to listen to. If that's the case for you, you're not alone. We want to encourage you that this is a stage, and it can be as hard for our teenager as it is for us. There may be someone else they're more inclined to talk to, and that's a good thing. Encourage it, rather than feel hurt that they're not talking to us.
We found if we encouraged them to talk about the stuff that they found easy to discuss, they were more likely to talk about the deeper issues when they needed to. There'll be different places and times when they open up.
The place where both teenagers would open up best is during my holidays. because we're all more relaxed. We're away from the normal environment that we've been in. So usually it's when we're sharing a bedroom and all the lights are off and we can just talk about silly things as well as how they feel about things.
I think the good conversations happen over dinner a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. We finally slow down and we have, I think it's just because the space is smaller. We're closer to each other, we can see each other better.
Well, we sort of make that a time that we need to spend together.
It's a priority that we all meet together at least one meal a day for dinner.
It helps.
It's sort of, I mean, it kind of feels like our little area, just in the garden. Because, you know, we always have a good chat about how my day went, and if I have anything that's wrong, I'll bring it up. And that's how I've developed into, you know, conversations that have lasted 45 minutes out there. Which is really good because, you know, whenever I've got a problem, she'll say, well, let's go there, because it makes me feel comfortable, because that's where I was the last time we had a deep conversation.
And I think sometimes they like to have other distractions. So perhaps if you're doing something else, that's when they like to talk to you, when they feel perhaps they've got a bit of cover of what they're saying. Certainly, I think car journeys is a time when one particular child will bring up things and talk, because I think they feel they don't have to look at you in the face when they talk to you and they want to tell you something. So that's a good one.
Being older teenagers, I think they probably are more used to talking late at night. So again, being around at that point and not thinking, I've got to get to bed because I'm really up early in the morning, but rather thinking, this is a really good opportunity now to talk. And I find as an adult, teenage timetables and adult timetables don't match. You've got to adjust to match with theirs, really. And late at night, I think, is often that time.
So actually, once you'd got used to that adjustment, you really capitalised on it. But at first, it felt like an intrusion of his time.
We recognise that finding the right time to communicate with our teenagers is hard for many of us to do. We may be busy with younger children. We may be tired. We may be a single parent or trying to manage a step-family. Or it may be the most inconvenient moment that they choose to open up.
I remember our daughter Kirsty coming home from school one day when she was 17. Her whole year group had that afternoon put on a show for the teachers. She came into the kitchen bursting with excitement, talking absolutely non-stop about how it had all gone. I was right in the middle of cooking and in a real rush. I had my back turned, frantically stirring something on the cooker. I can remember vividly the temptation to say, "Can you tell me about it later when I finish cooking?" But I suddenly realised this was a really important moment for her. So I put down the wooden spoon, turned off the gas and forced myself to turn round and say in my most interested voice, "Tell me all about it." And we did eat rather late that evening, but actually that didn't matter at all in the greater scheme of things.
A teenage-friendly home is created when they feel listened to and accepted, when they feel they can talk things through with us, when their point of view is heard, even if it's completely off the wall.
As we're prepared to discuss and debate with them, rather than lecture and judge them, our home and family will be a safe and secure place for them.
The second aim is that our home should be the primary place where our children learn good values to live by. The values we pass on will affect everything: their relationships, their attitudes to sex, alcohol, drugs, etc., how they use their time and their money, whether or not they're concerned for the needs of other people.
As we said in part 1 of this session, what we do will be of far more significance than what we say, which is why we've put modelling values as the rim around the parenting teenagers wheel. It's the values we model that will be the most enduring. For example, whether we demonstrate that character is more important than academic or sporting achievements, whether we value success in relationships more highly than material success, whether we're living in line with what we claim to believe.
Parents think, and teenagers would have us think, that our values are nothing but things to be rejected because they're old person's values and they're things that you rebel against. The good news is that teenagers might very well on the surface reject our values and behave in an opposite way, but those values sink in. And that's why when we become parents, we suddenly go like this and think, "Oh dear, I've become just like my mother or just like my father. I never thought I would." This is what happens, that teenagers will absorb our values, whether they know it or not, and whether we expect it or not, and it's going to happen. So it's still important for us to project those values and to stick to those values and not worry about the consequences.
Teenagers smell hypocrisy a mile away. Ultimately, they will respect authenticity and honesty. It's not about being perfect parents. We'll never achieve that. But rather deciding on what's most important to us and then seeking to live that out.
So much of what we're passing on, we won't even be aware of. For example, if our teenagers see us being open and honest, they will more than likely do the same. If they see us being generous and hospitable, they will see that as the norm.
I think the most important thing is setting a good example. I think that parents should always if they say don't do this, they shouldn't go and do it themselves. I think it's really important not to swallow your own words or be a hypocrite, because I think parents are the main role model for children growing up. And you think if your parents are genuinely good people and they don't lie and they don't do this and their lives are going well and they're happy, then you think, well, maybe if I try and do this, then I'll be happy and I will. I think to build up trust in your children. If your children if they can't trust their parents, then what can they do? How can they trust anyone? Because they're the people they're meant to be closest with. So I think trust is really important in a relationship with children.
Despite what we may read or hear or feel, we as parents are the main influence in our teenagers' lives. They learn most not from their peers, the media, the internet or their school. They learn most from us.
I think what's interesting is my dad and my mum has kind of taught us to be accepting of everyone and all different cultures and stuff like that, which I really like because it's enabled me to kind of relate to different people.
Being kind to people, not reading books by their covers, not jumping to, conclusions, always trying to see other people's views before you consider your own.
So, a second aim is to make our home a place where our children learn good values. The third aim is to make our home a place where we have fun together as a family, making it a place where our teenagers want to hang out.
Many of us as parents just need to lighten up and chill out. Teenagers tend to gather where they feel they can relax and have a laugh, where they can be themselves, where things aren't too rigid and controlling.
What has helped us to really establish fun times and talking times with the children during their teenage years has definitely been meal times, and we're still doing that today, which is I think it's quite incredible. We have a lot of fun around the meal table.
Dad does really embarrassing things. Mum's okay, but Dad's one of the more embarrassing ones. So things will be when he gets excited and he laughs. His laugh goes really high pitch. And so that's the moment where you're just like, oh no.
The phone goes off, we don't answer it. It might be the Queen. She'll have to ring back then. She never has.
And we very deliberately made that a fun time, actually, a meal time. When I was brought up as a little girl, it was quite a very reserved time, and you had very polite manners and you didn't speak very much. But we very deliberately made it an occasion to have fun, to share our day, and there's a lot of banter and fun go on around our table.
If our home isn't an enjoyable place to be, our teenagers will vote with their feet and go somewhere else. It's all too easy to fall into the trap of allowing the whole parenting thing to become too heavy, serious and intense.
When I think about the homes our teenagers liked going to, they were places where the children didn't feel got at or judged, where they were free to bring friends, where there was the sort of food they liked, where they had space both to do their own thing and to join in with relaxed family mealtimes.
For some people, creating a relaxed atmosphere doesn't come naturally. I remember one father who recognised this saying to us, I have to make a real effort to relax and do fun things with my kids. For some of us, that may mean making our home or one particular room more teenage friendly, with an old sofa perhaps and a darts board.
It might mean us learning to be more spontaneous, such as suddenly having an impromptu barbecue or a trip to the cinema.
Or it could mean taking up a hobby that they enjoy. All three of our boys became really keen on surfing as teenagers, and so Nicky decided to take up surfing himself. He spent hours in the Atlantic Ocean sitting on a board, in danger of catching hypothermia, trying to master the art of standing up.
Just getting out to the waves was totally exhausting, and I'm afraid I failed miserably over 5 years to stand up for more than about 3 seconds, and I've since retired. But I don't regret all those hours for a moment. It was so good just to be with the boys as teenagers.
Another very significant time to have fun is going away together on holiday. Much of the time, we would have one or more of their friends with us, which made a big difference to our teenagers and their enjoyment of family holidays. However, we decided we'd always keep some of our holiday each summer when it was just us as a family, without any of our friends or the children's friends. And we went somewhere with no TV or computers.
I was interested to read the actor Robin Williams has a similar aim. He said, "One of my rules when we take a family vacation is that you can't take any technological stuff. It's amazing. You think your children will be clinging to you crying, 'Dad, I really need my iPod. You're ruining my life.' Within a day, the kids will actually be reading a book, playing a game, and going outside to have fun with their siblings. Imagine."
And that was exactly our experience. At times, there was a bit of complaining, but they made their own fun together, and it was a very significant time for building their relationships with each other.
Our daughter Kirsty, looking back, said recently, "For me, the most special times were holidays in Ireland when we were just family. We still talk about things we did together when we were children."
Family holidays, I think, are really important. My husband can be a bit of a pessimist, and for years he kept saying, "Oh, the boys won't want to come on holiday with us soon." And I would say to them, let's not assume that. So actually, maybe it's a bit sneaky, but increasingly as I got older, I made sure that we were joining up with other families and going to more interesting places. So even though the thought of us maybe as they were teenagers wouldn't have been their first choice to go away with just their mum and dad, the fact that the location was interesting or that we were with another family or both meant that they were really keen to go, and they seemed to really enjoy them. So we always have them coming on lots of holidays, but they are key times.
I love family holidays. They're one of the best parts of the year. At one point, when I was younger, leaving all my friends to go to an isolated house in the middle of nowhere with my family was...
It was near the beach, though.
It was no good. No.
You were away from your friends, so... That was the biggest hardship.
And we were doing a lot of reading, and you know,
we don't have television now or internet.
Labor work. But now it's
painting.
I love it. Yeah, it's a place of relaxation with my family. You know, it's nice, peaceful, restful.
I'm glad you think that. It's good.
We place a lot of priority on it. Probably a higher proportion of our household budget goes on holiday than perhaps others would spend.
I think going on holiday with your family as opposed to your friends is very important, because you're not going to get anywhere if you're not having good times with your family, if you're just there for like meal times and that's it.
But the boys really want to go to the holiday park. So one year I had a problem with my job that I couldn't get the holiday. So I ended up having to change the job so that I could get the right holiday with the boys. Because every year that, you know, we're there and they have a good time. And for us as parents, it's really good to be in a place where they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, so every year we go to a holiday park, and it's just like, it's really good because the whole family can get involved, because we can take our dog along, which is, it's really fun. And then, so we've got lots of time to play cards and stuff, which is one of the things we enjoy doing as a family.
Three of us like to do all sorts of water sports. And once I think we did scuba diving together, and that was very exciting for all three of us, because we were doing it for the first time together, rather than, you know, I've done it before and I'm teaching you both. So I couldn't give them instructions. And that helps them enjoy it more, I think. If I was teaching them something, I'll be giving them instructions and they'll probably be reacting to that.
Holidays are really important to us. I mean, personally, they're really important to us to have time together, but they're really important in terms of our family, aren't they? And actually, last year we went on a big family holiday, didn't we? For the first time, we took the kids away to a mobile home in France, which doesn't sound glamorous, but they got the brochure and they picked exactly what they wanted to do and where they wanted to stay, and we gave them kind of free rein and said, this is the budget, what do you want to do? And we picked them up very early one morning and threw them in the back of the car with their duvets and drove to the middle of France, which felt ambitious, but it was brilliant.
Fourth, and most significant of all, our home is the place where our children learn about relationships. Nothing is ultimately of greater importance for them.
One of the main ways in which children learn to relate is through observing adult relationships, and particularly the one between their parents. That's why it's so important, if we're parenting or step-parenting together, that we guard and nurture our relationship.
If our teenagers see us controlling our anger appropriately, they'll do the same. If they see that we're willing to talk through disagreements, say sorry and forgive, they'll learn to resolve conflict effectively.
If our home is a place where, after we or they have made mistakes, everybody is forgiving and can start again, it's a very liberating atmosphere in which to live.
Parenting teenagers is an emotionally exhausting time, and it's more crucial than ever to be supporting each other. This means prioritising our relationship, investing time in our marriage, so we're a stronger team. This will help with the worries and stresses that can overwhelm us.
I think the way we treat each other actually as parents in our marriage is the most important way of handing down values to our children. So in the area of forgiveness, which we would see as being something that's really important, because living together we make mistakes, we upset each other. If we're not showing that in our relationship, then I think how can we ever say that to them as well? And I was once told that the best thing you can do for your children is to love your wife. I think that's probably one of the best advice I've ever had, really, in terms of bringing up teenage children, is that the way I treat my wife, the way I treat Denise, is going to impact them greatly in terms of how they understand values.
One way to invest in your relationship is to do a course like the marriage course. Even if you've already done it or something like it before, having teenagers means you're in a new season and facing new challenges.
If you're parenting on your own, building the best working relationship that you can with the other parent will make a huge difference to your children, hard and costly though that will usually be.
Building relationships with other families will provide healthy role models of marriages for your children to learn from.
We also know from many single parents how important it's been for them to nurture adult friendships, especially ones that are emotionally supportive, so that this role does not fall onto their teenagers.
From my experience of working with young people, their greatest concern is their parent going to be okay? And they are really concerned about their parents' emotional well-being. And so it is very important to encourage parents to get emotional support from outside of the home and not to look for the teenager. Often teenagers can appear and are very mature and able to take things on board, but it's an unreasonable and unfair burden, really. And so for parents to have friends, be involved with other organisations, to try and keep their life going, and seek support outside of their family unit is really important for the whole family's well-being.
Teenagers also learn to build relationships through the time they spend with their parents and other members of their family. But that isn't always happening to the degree that teenagers need.
At a conference of the British Psychological Society, it was stated, the number of children handicapped by shyness is increasing because their parents no longer have the time to talk to them. Working parents spend an average of just 8 minutes a day talking to their offspring. Members of the family don't sit down together because the parents are too exhausted. This neglect comes at a vital time in their lives. Most children become shy when they reach adolescence between 11 and 14. These are the years when they need most help from their parents, but they're not getting it, and become more and more shy.
If you don't spend any time together, then you don't want to be like those teenagers that drift completely apart from their family, and then when they need them, it would be really awkward or something, or like the parents wouldn't know what's going on because they haven't been around them to like talk to about the problem. So it's really good to spend time together so that you you're keeping in touch with like each other's problems and stuff, and so you don't like break the family, because they're like the family are the people that are there who are always going to know what your problems are, and like always going to know the right thing to say to help you out. So that's why you need to spend time together.
We had to make some deliberate changes in our lifestyle in order to be around enough for our children. Ironically, as parents, we can think that when our children are teenagers, they're becoming more independent and don't need us so much. But actually, it's the reverse. On an emotional level, they need us more.
In some families, it's the TV that stops interaction between members of the family. A recent survey revealed that 80% of children aged between the ages of 5 and 18 in the UK have a TV in their bedroom. Of course, that alleviates the fighting over which channel to watch, but it means that many families don't even watch TV together any longer.
Many of those aspects of family life that our teenagers may not like much are the very things that teach them about how to build relationships. For example, having to share the bathroom with others or doing household chores such as washing up together.
However, in most families, it's mealtimes that provide the primary opportunities to be together and to learn how to interact. Mealtimes are not just about good food, talking together and relaxation. They're when teenagers learn so many vital social skills. They learn how to discuss and debate issues, how to take turns, how to contribute to a conversation, and how to listen to others.
I remember one father, when asked what he'd done when his children were teenagers, saying, "I don't think I did anything except spend hours sitting round a table eating." We know his children well. They've grown up to be people who have great social skills and who are very good at interacting with others.
We tried to eat together as a family in the evening. Sometimes it was in a rush before Nikki and I went out to an evening event.
With 3 boys all keen on sport, the conversation revolved too much around rugby, and we should have steered it more towards Kirsty's interests some of the time. But those regular mealtimes kept us in touch and undoubtedly built the relationships between us.
And then, once a week, we had what we called our family night. That was the one evening in the week when we made sure we were all there and we all spent longer having a more relaxed meal and doing something fun together. We started our family night when our children were very little, and at that stage we would have tea and play party games.
When they became teenagers, we continued with the tradition, which included the whole family taking it in turns to choose what activity we did. We went through a rollerblading craze. Some of my favourite memories are of playing roller hockey 3 against 3 on a summer's evening in the park.
Other times we might have watched a DVD together or invited another adult friend who we knew would relate well to the teenagers and whom they would enjoy spending time with, and we just sat and talked.
Admittedly, some family nights were a total disaster. We couldn't agree on which DVD to watch, or one of them would annoy a younger brother or provoke an older one, and we had to send one or more of them to their room. But we kept them going for years, and they made a huge difference to our family relationships.
For some families, regular mealtimes are a real struggle for different reasons. But we'd encourage you to persevere, as they're so central to building relationships.
For others, having leisurely meals together every day simply isn't possible, but they make the most of the weekends.
I think it helps us to spend more time with the family and
like catch up on what everyone's done during the week and everything, just like it's social time where you can all chat to each other.
And like we're all at different schools and have like different times that we're in the house, and everyone's kind of running their own schedule. There's not really like any set time we have except for those like it's like on Saturday nights and like Sunday lunches. I think it's really important that we just spend some time together, like as a whole family.
We often suggest we go out for a walk. We've got a favourite family place where we go for a walk. Obviously the children, when we mention it, don't actually sound very enthusiastic. It's all like, oh, no, walk. But when we get there, we actually have a good time, and I think it's making the effort.
I think family time is important for us because we've made a big value of just spending time together. So we make it a big value in our family to hang around with our girls, to play games with them, to talk to them and things like that.
Very early on, Owen set what we called our family night, which was on a Saturday night, and we would watch a movie. We got a projector for our birthdays, and we watched a film together on the wall. And it was quite funny because I didn't I've always valued family night, but if the kids got invited out to a sleepover, I'd be happy for them to go. Whereas I was like, no, let's set the value in early. And that's really paid off, isn't it? Because they enjoy family night and generally prioritise it.
We enjoy games, and we've often had great fun just having board games and such like. We enjoy watching DVDs, and if we can find something that we all enjoy, that's always a sort of good experience to do together as well. I think it's planning it in and getting them involved, and I've been surprised as well at some things where you think teenage boys wouldn't necessarily engage in, that when you push them a bit, actually they really have, and you can have great fun in maybe even going back to things they did when they were a bit younger as well.
To build on your family relationship, I think, is much more important than any other relationship, because you know they're the people that are always going to be there for you.
Looking back, we can see that having weekly family nights was an investment of time that was hugely beneficial. Talking together, eating together, doing enjoyable things together was invaluable for building relationships within our family through the teenage years.
We've put some homework in the manual, which is designed to be done between the sessions to enable you to continue to think through the subjects that we've raised.
This session's homework, we hope, will help you to talk to your teenager about the best times to spend with them and do things that they're interested in and enjoy.
We're going to finish each session with a short prayer, so do please stay as you are while I pray. Lord, we thank you that our children are a gift from you. Thank you that they're each unique and have their own unique personality and gifts. Thank you for the privilege of parenting them, of shaping and influencing their lives. We ask you to help us with this challenging task. And we pray that as a result of this course, each parent would feel more confident and better equipped for this role. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. In the next session, we'll be looking at how we meet our teenagers' deepest needs.
We'd like you to turn now to the questions in your manual for discussion. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.